New reports showing Hunter Biden's most prominent business partner once had an official sit-down with then Vice President Joe Biden back in 2010. In fact, logs obtained by the New York Post show that Eric Schwerin visited the White House and other prominent locations 19 times between 2009 and 2015. We're just showing, those are just 9 of them on the screen. They met 19 times, including a sit-down with Joe Biden himself and meetings with his staff and top staff. New York Post reporter Jon Levine broke the story and joins us now. Jon, thank you very much for being here, and fascinating work that you're doing in uncovering this. What do these meetings tell you? On top of what we've learned from the laptop, these meetings, the timing of them, who he's meeting with, what does it tell you?
Well, you know, the Hunter Biden story is really a very simple one. In 2019, Joe Biden said he never had any foreign business dealings or never had any involvement in his son's foreign business dealings. And yet now there's a growing body of evidence to suggest that that's just not true. And here we have the president of Hunter Biden's investment company, Eric Schwerin, going to the White House and other official locations at least 19 times and having a meeting with Joe Biden and top aides to Joe Biden and top aides to Jill Biden. And what were they talking about? What were these meetings? You know, what was Eric saying to Joe? What was Joe saying to Eric? Why were there so many meetings? You know, it's lucky to go to the White House once, let alone 19 times. There were also meetings at the Eisenhower Executive Office building and the vice president's residence. So there's just, the big thing is we just don't know what the meetings were about. There's an area in the logs called description, which are unfortunately blank for a lot of the most interesting ones.
Oh, wow. Okay, so no description on them, but what you're doing is connecting the dots. There was a meeting with between Eric Schwerin, again, the president of that firm, with Joe Biden in November of 2010. Well, there's an email from the laptop from July of 2010, about a couple of months before that meeting. Here's what it said. This is Eric Schwerin in an email to Hunter Biden. He wrote, "Your dad just called me," meaning Joe Biden, "about his mortgage and mentioned he'd be out a lot soon and not really back until Labor Day. He could use some positive news about his future earning potential." This is about the vice president of the United States in 2010 concerned about his future earning potential in an email to Hunter Biden. And Eric Schwerin's the man who sent it and also the man who met with Joe Biden just a few months later. So we call this the Hunter Biden scandal. But how close are we to being able to identify that this is indeed a Joe Biden scandal?
Well, that's really the heart of it, is a lot of people trade on nepotism, but the real question is, what did Joe know and when did he know it? And if he was involved, what was the extent of his involvement? And there's now, as I said, a growing body of evidence to show that he was meeting with business partners, and we knew about, hanging out on the golf course or stopping by at restaurants or whatever, but this is the first time we've really seen those business partners in the White House with him. And this doesn't come from the laptop, it comes from the Obama White House visitor logs. So there'll be no talk of Russian disinformation on this one.
Second source indeed. Real quick, we're out of time. Eric Schwerin, has he been asked questions? What do we know about what he's said about this?
I reached out to Eric Schwerin. I didn't get a response. I know that he appears in the hard drive consistently since between 2009 and 2019. He's one of the most intimate players in the whole saga. As you mentioned earlier, he had access to financial records for Joe Biden. They were talking about the mortgage. They were talking about future financial stuff. And, but we really need to flesh this out. We really need to know what they were talking about. What future earnings were they discussing? And did they talk about the business?
We deserve to know, and maybe future Republican-controlled committees will ask those questions. Jon Levine, thanks for doing the great work. The New York Post has been ahead of this from the beginning. We appreciate it.